Hello there. It is March 29th, 2012, about 11:50 p.m. This is Rant Man. This is his first rant ever. Rant Man, what do you think about the penny being discontinued as of today?
They're discontinuing the penny? Not surprising. Inflation is a form of taxation brought upon the general public through the central banking mechanism. The central banking mechanism is in fact a partnership between governments and banks. And in this partnerships, there's something to be gained by both parties. Of course, otherwise they wouldn't do it. On the government side, they can go to the Bank of Canada and borrow as much money as they want. Now, of course, the Bank of Canada has no money and never has had any money, but it's been passed into legislation that they can print money out of thin air. And that's why the banks are in the partnership, because you see, and the government for that fact, because the government can borrow as much money as they want without having to go to the taxpayer and ask for it in the form of direct taxes. You see, because if the government had to go to the taxpayer and ask them for it in the form of direct taxes, they would be voted out of office. Not a popular thing to do. They like the central banking mechanism because they can go to the Bank of Canada and borrow as much money as they want, whenever they want, and the taxpayer doesn't even realize that he's paying a tax, which we will discuss. So that's why the government's in the partnership. Well, why are the banks in the partnership? Well, you see, now the banks joined the partnership because under the Bank of Canada Act, the banks must keep no less than 10% of their deposits on reserve. So let's assume that you go down to the bank and you deposit $100. Well, that's a deposit. Well, the Bank of Canada Act says that you only have to keep 10% of your deposits on reserve. So they keep 10% of that $100, which is $10. And they loan the other $90 out to the first person in the loans line. So he's got $90 in his hand. What does he do with it? Well, he wants to spend it, doesn't he? So he takes that $90 and he deposits in his checking account, doesn't he? Well, guess what? That's a new deposit. Well, the Bank of Canada Act says that the banks must keep no less than 10% of the deposits on reserve. So that's a new deposit. So they have to keep 10% of that $90, which is $9, and they can loan out $81 to the next person. So the next person at the loans wicket borrows the $81. Well, what does he do with it? Well, he wants to spend it, of course, doesn't he? So what does he do with the $81? He puts it in his bank account. Well, guess what? That's a new deposit. Well, the Bank of Canada Act says you only have to keep 10% of your deposits on reserve, so they keep $8 and 10%, and they loan the rest out to the next guy. And this just goes around and around and around, and the bottom line is the $100 that was deposited in the bank account means the bank can lend out $900, 10% of 1,000. Well, where did that money come from? Where did the bank get that $900 from? The answer is the same as it is with the Bank of Canada. There is no money. It just springs into existence the minute that they lend the money out. That's why the banks are in the partnership, because they can loan out all this money that they don't even have to loan out. Now, there's a big difference. The government borrows the money off the Bank of Canada. The newly created Bank of Canada, the Bank of Canada doesn't have any money. They lend it. They spend it on their projects. On the other side of the coin, the banks, they didn't spend that on their project, that money that they lent out, that $900. No, they loaned it to you and to me for our projects. But the banks charge interest on that money. So guess what? The banks are charging the interest on nothing. They're charging you interest on nothing because they never had the $900 to lend out in the first place. Which isn't that bad of a deal. I wish I had a magic checkbook like that. I could lend out money all day long, $25,000, $100,000. I don't have any money anywhere, but I got a checkbook. And you people are foolish enough to pay me interest on that. That is why the banks are in the partnership. Well, what is the ramifications of all this? All this new money that didn't exist anywhere goes out there into the economy. New dollar bills, physical $20 bills. They go out into the economy and they devalue the money that's out there. It's like pouring water into soup. And guess what? The dollar goes down and we see prices rising. We call it inflation, but it's not inflation. It's tax. Your dollar's going down. The ashtrays still toss $1, but your dollar's now worth 80 cents. So you got to pay more than $1 to buy this. It's a different form of taxation. That's why the governments and the banks are in the partnership. Well, it eventually gets to the point where the money goes so much down in value that we get to a day like today where they're eliminating the 1-cent penny. I used to buy gum out of a gum machine with a 1 cent. Now they're eliminating it. Now it's going to cost 5 cents. Hell, maybe 5 years from now, a gum like that, or 50 years from now, might cost $1 when it used to cost a penny. Your wage doesn't go up, though, folks. Your wage doesn't go up when the value goes down. The value of currency goes down, your wage doesn't go up. Oh, it goes up, but not by that much. It gets harder and harder and harder on you, Mom and Dad and Grandma and Grandpa. And it gets harder on your kids. So unless you're willing to stand up at the plate and join the revolution to go back to a gold and silver based currency where we don't have inflation and deflation and the governments can't run like wild drunk men in a bar spending money, then we can all have some peace of mind. Maybe we can take care of this mess we're dealing in. Maybe we can put the control back with the people and under the government's hand where it belongs. The 1 cent going out of operation as of today? Disastrous. It's just a representation of things to come. Kiss your house goodbye, kiss your car goodbye. The husband and the wife are working now. Wait till 20 years from now, the kids will be working. The whole family will have to be working. This is the reality of a system that's based on flexible currency. The central banking mechanism. Keep your pennies, folks. You're going to need them.
Well, thank you, Rant Man. Enjoy your evening.